Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. My contribution to the Cheaper Power Bill 2024, having also sat as a committee member of the Cost of Living and Economics Committee, this was very straightforward. As already outlined by my colleagues and the Shadow Treasurer and also the Shadow Minister for Cost of Living, we will not be opposing this bill. For those members of the committee, to remind them also, the government members, we did not include a statement of reservation in the bill. What we simply tried to achieve as committee members was to understand how the distribution of this cost of living rebate was going to be allocated to small businesses, of which many, particularly in my electorate of the Whitsundays, are dealing with hikes of several 100%, Mr Deputy Speaker. Anyone who operates large freezer services, that is a high user of power, has seen astronomical blowouts in their costs. And while we note that there has been a contribution back to small business and that of households, there is a large discrepancy that many committee members questioned. Mr Deputy Speaker, I want to draw the Minister for Energy's attention to what is a major issue, which I did have written to him and also I've asked questions on notice, and it is pertinent when we see the government provide cost of living relief in the way of electricity rebate, yet we do not have reliable electricity in North Queensland, Mr Deputy Speaker. So the government can talk up their investment into state assets, which we know has been a failing. We know that the Callide Power Station has now been offline for almost 3 years. And when I point to my rural communities of Midge Point, Mr Deputy Speaker, where we've seen significant outages, in fact, 14 unplanned outages since Christmas, including Christmas Day and Easter. So in a cost of living crisis, Mr Deputy Speaker, how is it acceptable by the government that on the 29th of December, parts of my community in the hottest part of summer have lost power for up to 3 hours, Mr Deputy Speaker, where they've actually had to, and that has been consistent over several days in peak holiday season. Mr Deputy Speaker, the energy framework, the lack of maintenance, the lack of reliability that is being experienced across Airlie Beach, major tourism centre, where we are seeing outages for several hours that are disrupting both not just the tourism experience but the everyday living experience. This amount of funding means nothing and is a smack in the face to those people who have to throw out that value in groceries and produce because this government can't deliver a reliable power service to parts of regional and rural Queensland, parts like Midge Point, Caelan, Bloomsbury, Airlie Beach, Proserpine, my community, where coal miners live who go out and work and mine those very wealthy royalties back into the state coffers, and yet we don't see that level of investment into infrastructure, into energy assets, into reliability of power. Needless to say, Mr Deputy Speaker, we also don't see it in any competition in far North Queensland. We still sit here and debate power prices, but in far North Queensland we have one retail provider in Ergon Energy that at this point in time is perplexed at the lack of investment that they've seen in maintenance by this government. So, Mr Deputy Speaker, the government can go out and spruce this in their retail politics style, but those Queenslanders know that this is just a short-term sugar hit that is not going to the root cause of the issue, Mr Deputy Speaker. We look at cheaper power, and yet the government has everything centred around the Pioneer Burdekin pumped hydro, a project that the member for Mackay proudly touts in our community, a project that has been rejected by the Mayor of Mackay, rejected by the Council of Mackay, rejected by the Yui people and the traditional owners, and will deliver, has not been able to demonstrate how it will deliver any cheaper power, not just to residents of Mackay and the Whitsundays, but to any resident in Queensland, without any business case, without any costing, without any return on investment. So once again, cheap political politics being played by the Labor government, who is out of ideas, desperate to get a sugar hit out there to the voters of Queensland because their Queensland Jobs and Energy Plan is flawed with the lack of planning, flawed with the lack of consultation in the community. And when employees from Queensland Hydro are leaving in droves, that sends a clear message to the local community, Minister. Mr Deputy Speaker, I draw that attention to Minister de Brenni, that builds no confidence in that project across the Mackay community. So with that, Mr Deputy Speaker, the opposition won't be opposing the bill because we know hard-working Queenslanders deserve every opportunity to be able to reduce power bills, to be able to put more money back into their own hip pockets, to be able to spend on the necessities that they are so struggling to be able to pay for right now, Mr Deputy Speaker. But it's only as a result of this failing Labor government.